Hey y'all, today's Friday, May 23rd, 2025, and Ryan and I are here in Washington, D.C. at Union Station, and we are about to take an Amtrak over to New York Penn Station to catch a Broadway show tonight before heading back to D.C. for ABAI's annual convention this weekend. So come along to check out Broadway and some things going on in D.C. over the Memorial Day weekend 2025. All right, so Ryan and I just got off the train at Moynihan Station, Penn Station in New York, and we're gonna go check in our hotel, the Tempo by Hilton and the Times Square. And so then we're gonna get ready for Broadway tonight. All right, so we just so happened to be wandering by the Richard Rodgers Theater while Ham for Ham, the performance is going on. So we're gonna check that out. That was so cool to see Lin-Manuel Miranda in person. Wow, awesome. What a happy surprise. So, how long was it at LA 2 weeks ago? Yeah. Natalie Portman was at Dorian Gray last night, or the night before. All right, so Ryan is going to see Death Becomes Her at the Lunt-Fontanne tonight, while I see Dorian Gray at the Music Box. And so this is the Lunt-Fontanne, and we hope to hear good reviews of Death Becomes Her. I'm sure it will be a great show. Also, Fleet Week in New York this weekend. So this is actually our first time in New York together and our first time in Times Square together. I was in the city last September 2024. Ryan hadn't been since college, so this is going to be our first New York experience together. And it looks like the choir, our band from the military, is going to do a performance here in Times Square.
So that should be maybe, is it Fleet Week where the band comes in, or is it Marines? I think it's Navy Marines, so I think it's Fleet Week.
So this is the view from the lobby of our hotel. It's the Tempo by Hilton, Times Square.
Purchasing, but it has to, it can't be that big. Tell them it has to be the big one, because the power out because think of it this way, that's, don't think of that as an iPad, think of that as a phone. So that's why.
I see a lot of the theater houses from here. I see the Barrymore Theater, the Richard Rogers.
So you gotta get them to buy you. Have them buy you two. So have them buy you two of the big.
Incredible view. All right, we're still on the highest floor at the Tempo by Hilton, Times Square. So we're gonna check the room out. Oh my God, it's like an apartment. I think this is the biggest hotel room I've ever stayed in. It's got a conference table. This is insane. I can't believe this is our room. Wow. So this is the bathroom, I assume. I couldn't get the mirror lights to work either. Like a whole kitchen. I don't even consider that a kitchenette. Like that's as big as most people's kitchens in New York.
I think that's bigger than our kitchenette.
Another bathroom? Yeah, there's two bathrooms. Oh my God, the view from this bed. Some beautiful hydrangeas. 48th and Park Avenue. And it's raining. We're going for a walk before Broadway tonight. right, so enough trekking around New York City in the rain. We're gonna get ready for tonight's showing of The Picture of Dorian Gray, featuring Sarah Snook, Kip Williams, and obviously Oscar Wilde at the Music Box Theater. I wish Othello tickets weren't $912 a piece.
So I did a little fit check here. I got this from Amazon. I got a black shirt on, just got some skinny jeans on as well. And I got this little necklace. So I'm going to see Death Becomes Her. So the vial and the deep purple, it's the whole style. So
Super cute. Alright, we're here at our hotel in Times Square. We're about to go to see different Broadway plays. I'm going to see Dorian Gray at the Music Box Theater. So a quick fit check. Doing a plaid green, yellow, and orange LL Bean, long sleeve cuffed with some dark denim and the Versace black loafers. So we're gonna head out to the theater. Obviously you can't film inside, but we'll look at the theater and then possibly some stage door afterwards, so come along for the ride and see how it is. And then of course there'll be a review afterwards. Be careful. The Lount Fontaine's 2 blocks from the hotel.
We want them just a block.
Where is the Music Box from the Lount Fontaine?
It's down there somewhere.
Is that the Lyceum? So I had a hard time choosing what Broadway I wanted to see. I saw Cabaret with Eddie Redmayne in September and really wanted to see Othello this time, but it was essentially just because Jake Gyllenhaal and I think he's hot, so there's that, but it wasn't worth $921 for a ticket. So, but also Good Night and Good Luck is out now and looked really interesting. Maybe Happy Ending I really want to see. So I don't know, there was some tough choices this trip, but we're only here for 24 hours, so one Broadway, and tonight it's Dorian Gray.
Alright, yeah, the lit.
Show me the potion bottle. Show me the potion bottle. So cute. Enjoy the show. I love you. All right, now off to the Music Box. All right, y'all, so I just turned onto West 45th Street and I'm walking toward the Music Box Theater to see Dorian Gray.
You're producing
Yeah, we used to make protein balls.
All right, y'all, I can't believe I'm getting the honor of seeing Dorian Gray, Oscar Wilde's Dorian Gray on Broadway at the Music Box Theater tonight. Oscar Wilde is very special to Ryan and myself. We wore green carnations in honor of him at our wedding in 2021 because in the 1800s, that's how gay people identified themselves in England and other places where it wasn't okay to be out and be queer. And so we hold space and represent queer art, and we love to see it. We want more of it. And so I can't wait to see Dorian Gray tonight. Today's Saturday, May 24th, 2025, and we're here in New York City in Times Square. Last night had an amazing night of theater at the Music Box, seeing Sarah Snook in The Picture of Dorian Gray. I thought the play was phenomenal. Being able to sit in that tiny theater and just see live theater is just so incredible. Historic house, so glad I got to go see the show. Some funny parts that I didn't really expect. Sarah Snook was really funny, and Dorian Gray is not a comedy, so I wasn't expecting that. But there was one part in particular where Lord Henry and Dorian were talking about going to the theater, and Dorian wanted to introduce Henry to his new girlfriend, Sybil Vane, and she was going to be in Romeo and Juliet that evening, and Lord Henry just comments that nobody wants to see Shakespeare, and Sarah Snook gives a wink at the audience, which is a nod to Othello and the ticket prices there. So there were just moments of comedy. It was an incredible drama, and I'm so glad I got to see it. After the show, I stage door at the Music Box, and Sarah signed the window card that I brought for the show, The Picture of Dorian Gray. And so I was so thankful to get to meet her last night. She was so kind and gracious with her time. And so an incredible experience. If you're in New York before The Picture of Dorian Gray closes, don't hesitate to go see it.
Are they lining up to get tickets?
To get into the show after you have tickets. To get lunch before we head back to DC. So we are taking the Q train down to eat lunch at Namwa, and we are waiting here at the Times Square station to catch the Q train Memorial Day weekend 2025. All right, so we just got off the Q train, and now we're headed toward Namwa on Doyer Street in New York City. So we're at Baxter. Baxter and Walker Street intersection. Yeah, none of these. All right, Namwa, here we come.
Chinese pavilion.
Yeah, Mark.
What is that a menu for? Not foot massage. No foot massage. Yeah.
Or we can just go to Mosel.
What church is this?
You just make a church. It's not. This temple says Transfiguration Roman Catholic Church.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're gonna sit here. Actually.
Oh, for you.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Because the basement is empty. That's why I was like, everything.
Grab that.
That's good. Right there.
All right, so we're gonna try these shrimp dumplings, these pork dumplings, and check out Namwa.
using it.
Oh my god. You're a disaster. Yeah, do you mind?
Absolutely, yeah. He's a little bit of a train wreck right now. So yeah, a little less.
I accept.
Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Can you do a portrait one as well? So we have egg fried rice. The pork dumplings. Pan fried pork dumplings. Is that the duck sauce? Nice.
And I've only had like 14.
Nice.
You see that?
Yeah. So Namwa was amazing. Of the two, I think I prefer the shrimp dumplings, and Ryan really liked the pork ones. But we are so impressed with how delicious the food was. The fried rice was some of the best I've ever had. This garden is really stunning.
One's right there.
I don't know where you're going.
Stop.
Our next presenter is Dr. Dorian.
Good morning. My name is Corey Johnson, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to provide an update on the research project that Dr. Mary Kate Carey and I have been working on for a couple of years now. Portions of this presentation were made possible through a generous grant from the Susan Mott Webb Charitable Trust. Last year at ABI's annual convention, we presented on if a file-based motion detection camera could discriminate between fine and gross motor movements of human participants in a sterile environment. Since that time, we've been busy conducting comparative analysis to determine if a file-based motion detection camera, an FBMD, or another recent artificial intelligence innovation, a generative pre-trained transformer, or GPT, is more effective at calculating topography and frequency of human gross motor movements when compared to a human data collector who serves as the controller. In preparing this presentation, I realized that I've now presented on the same topic at 2 consecutive ABAI conventions, which leads me to the question, am I reheating nachos? This term, coined by Gen Z on Twitter, refers to entertainers harkening back to their previous work to seek relevance again. However, with the rapid pace of artificial intelligence is advancing, I suggest that discussion on the progress in the field of automation of behavior data collection over the past year is worth our time here today. Astrophysicists hypothesize that black holes create hairs on their outer rings to document changes to the content as content enters the hole, a hypothetical type of data collection. Unlike black holes, which may take data on all items they encounter, behavior analysts know that only taking data on socially significant behaviors leads to increased data fidelity and as it decreases staff workload. Data for an autistic person's aggression, self-injury, property destruction, and other behaviors can lead to impactful decisions that are made about their lives, such as restrictive procedures and behavior support plans, prescription of psychotropic medications, residential and school placements, and more. This highlights the need for accurate data collection. Unfortunately, behavior data is often inaccurate due to direct care staff turnover rates and challenges with training and fidelity of behavior data collection, especially when the staff collecting the data are the same staff blocking a student from engaging in dangerous behavior. The latency from data collection to analysis is often also too long to make meaningful change, sometimes up to a month. There are a few potential solutions to this problem, one of which could be to use discontinuous data collection systems, which are likely easier to train staff to fidelity on, However, the trade-off here is problematic because discontinuous data collection systems systematically yield under or overestimations of true values. In this 1979 Java article by Rep and colleagues, findings that momentary time sampling and interval recording grossly underestimate high-frequency behaviors. Another solution could be to automate human data collection in some way. Hopla and Wang demonstrated in 2011 that videos could detect anomalies using computer software. Supervisor feedback is successful in increasing staff fidelity with data collection. However, this is a time-consuming task that increases with staff turnover rates, as Mazingo and colleagues demonstrated in their 2013 Java article. Then in 2014, the use of accelerometers and wearable devices to calculate rates of target behavior was examined by Byatt and colleagues. Previous work by Mikado and colleagues in 2018 evaluated the efficacy of behavior analysts hand-scoring data from video that is fast-forwarded. Then in 2020, Canton Garside and colleagues attempted to detect self-injury in autistic learners using machine learning. To date, automation of behavior data collection through accelerometers means that individuals must wear devices that may be aversive to people with sensory integration concerns. The use of technology alongside compassionate care is critical to reducing the establishing operations in place for problem behavior. We were interested in extending the findings by Lesser, Lazinski, and Hood's 2019 Java article from sleep disturbance to self-injury. To orient everyone to how this line of research has developed, here are the steps we took. We began by asking what camera, software, and filter modifications needed to be made to improve the fidelity of the Axis Communications P1375E FBMD camera. Once we determined the settings that allowed the camera to perform best at recording gross motor movements while ignoring fine motor movements, we used these settings for future phases of the study. Next, we asked, how do we teach the camera to discriminate between fine and gross motor movements? We start by defining the breakpoint for what ranges of motion the camera will and will not detect by comparing the accuracy from the FBMD camera to a human data collector. In answering these questions, we learned that if human participants' movements occur too closely in temporal proximity, that the camera would combine the movements into one video clip, which is the equivalent of one frequency of the behavior. We found that both human and the file-based motion detection could accurately discriminate fine and gross motor movements. During study one, we realized the types of errors that the FBMD might make. False positives occur when the camera records fine motor movements which should have been ignored, while false negatives occur when the camera fails to record gross motor movements which should have been documented. After the 2024 ABAI Symposium, we met the founder of Alpaca Health, Michael Gao, who introduced us to a GPT video anomaly detection software his company was piloting. Thus, we decided to take Skinner's advice, and when we found something interesting, drop everything else and study it. Given the new advances in technology, our research question shifted to evaluate if a GPT would be more efficient at discriminating behavior of interest from a video footage than the FBMD platform. Dr. Carey and I set out to conduct a comparative analysis of the FBMD and GPT to see which, if either, could discriminate topography and frequency of human gross motor movements in a sterile environment. It's of note that the sliding window approach that was used by Alpaca's Health Python learning system broke the videos down into 7-minute clips and then uploaded them to the GPT, and timestamps were spit out to report when the motor movements of interest occurred. Here's a brief video demonstrating Alpaca Health's GPT software in action.
Alpaca has developed an AI-powered video system that captures and analyzes behavior data in direct ABA therapy sessions. We're partnering with research institutions to validate accuracy and expand the range of our support to behavior. Alongside this, Alpaca also offers a modern software suite built for clinician-owned independent practices that prioritize quality. Visit our booth to learn more.
It's important to note the difference in how these two AI software platforms detect and record human movements. The file-based motion detection Axis camera and the software that supports that is called Access Camera Station. While the GPT is Alpaca Health, which has a Python computer programming embedded inside it. The FBMD is a one-time purchase, while the GPT would be more analogous to a monthly subscription service. The FBMD leads to real-time data collection, although that data does still have to be reviewed by a human. And the GPT is a post hoc analysis of the video data. The FBMD cannot calculate topography of gross motor movements. However, the GPT can calculate topography of gross motor movements. The FBMD, the number of video clips equates the frequency of the behavior, while in the GPT, the data is reviewed by an algorithm, and the timestamps generated by that algorithm represent the frequency of the occurrences of behavior of interest. The similarities between the GPT and the FBMD include that they are both artificial intelligence systems. They do both require camera and software, and they can both calculate human gross motor frequency. Thus, our question for study 2 became, when compared to a human data collector as a control, which AI data collection system is more accurate at discriminating topography and frequency of human movements, GPT or FBMD? We used 3 types of data collectors as our independent variables in study 2. They were humans, a GPT, and an FBMD. To test the question, we systematically decreased the latency between motor movements of our participants in the video clips by decreasing the duration of intertrial intervals. This was important to shift from a sterile environment, such as the office space we used, to a naturalistic environment, such as a school classroom. The AI systems may benefit from a stepwise analysis of confederates imitating target behaviors from autistic people. The IOA and data collection fidelity were collected for 33% of sessions at each of the intertrial intervals. We set up 2 video cameras. One was the FBMD, and the other was a Dell Latitude 3510 laptop, which recorded the human participant's movement via a Zoom video conference, which would be uploaded to the GPT system. A third camera, a GoPro Hero 12, was used to film research and participant behavior, as well as the cameras mounted on a rolling cart for inter-observer agreement and procedural fidelity purposes. During study 2, participants were shown 3 different gross motor movements and told to choose one of the 3 to perform each time the researcher gave the verbal SD move. The researcher used 2 laptops back-to-back to view the FBMD camera footage live and to record the participants' movements using a front-facing Zoom video conference call. The 3 motor movements were daddy shark, Y arms up, and clap, as defined here. After the participants performed one of the movements, the researcher recorded data on the following variables. For each trial, the researcher recorded the motion type that occurred, if the FBMD recorded a new video clip, if the FBMD terminated recording during the intertrial interval, if the FBMD correctly categorized the topography of motor movement, and if any extraneous participant movement occurred. Following each session, the researcher watched the videos that would be analyzed by the GPT and recorded the timestamps the motor movements occurred. The researcher then created a 5-second window on each side of the movement video timestamp and recorded it on a separate GPT datasheet. The researcher uploaded the videos to the Google Drive, and the software engineer for Alpaca Health ran the videos through the GPT, then sent a Google Sheets file with 3 columns representing the gross motor movement topographies as headers, and the timestamps these movements were reported to have occurred by the GPT listed. The researcher calculated variance of true value to obtain accuracy for the GPT's frequency data. To obtain a correct response for the GPT's topography accuracy, 2 things must be true. First, only one timestamp can be present within 5 seconds before and after the human recorded timestamp, and the timestamp must be in the correct topography column. We found that the GPT's percent accuracy for scoring topographies across the 3 categories and 2 participants was 61.7%, while the FBMD scored 0% at calculating topography. Of note in the results table above is that the FBMD scored less than 12% for the frequency percent accuracy for participant 1 at the 15-second intertrial interval. Again, note that the FBMD was incapable of calculating topography of gross motor movements, while the GPT did so with an average accuracy of 61.7%. Figures 1 and 2 depict the percent accuracy along the x-axis and consecutive sessions along the y-axis. The three data paths represent the GPT, the FBMD, and the human data collector. The graphs for participant 1 show a significant decrease in the accuracy for both the FBMD and GPT as the intertrial interval decreased from 30 seconds to 15 seconds. However, this phenomenon did not occur with the other participant. Human GPT and FBMD performed relatively accurately when counting instances of human behavior. For participant Eleanor, in the graphs above, you can see that the human control data collector's fidelity with topography of motor movements remained high as the latencies between motor movements decreased, while generally speaking, the GPT's accuracy for frequency of movements decreased as the intertrial interval decreased from 45 to 30 seconds. Regarding the results for accuracy of topography discrimination, we again see the control human data collector's fidelity remain high and unaffected by shorter intertrial interval latencies, while the GPT's ability to calculate accurate topography for gross motor movements averages 61% across all sessions. The FBMD is incapable of calculating topography of gross motor movements. We found that the highest accuracy was with the human data collector for both topography and frequency, as expected. The FBMD was confirmed to be incapable of categorizing human gross motor movements into topographies, while the GPT was able to do so with 61% accuracy across all sessions. Error trends were shared with the GPT software engineer, and prompt engineering is now being used in an attempt to improve the Python script, specifically telling the script not to forget to collect data for the initial 7 minutes of video clip. Facial recognition could be used to track multiple people in the same video clip. And the AI camera should be tested in more natural environments to evaluate the efficacy of the automated data behavior collection. Consent of the user and/or his or her guardian is paramount in the ethical application of AI in the treatment of autistic people. A safer living and working environment could be achieved by the FBMD or GPT alerting caregivers or employers when behavior anomalies are detected in videos. Efforts to record data are useless unless they're paired with a clinical effort to provide compassionate care to the autistic individuals that we serve, which then reduces the establishing operations in place for problem behavior. These data collection systems could report on instances of teaching replacement behaviors as well, such as reaching one's arm out to hand a picture exchange communication card to a peer or a staff person, and these could be operationally defined to the GPT as well. Thank you for your time, and special thanks to the folks on the screen here. All right, so I just wrapped up my ABAI symposium talk here in Washington, D.C., but I was walking back to the hotel from the convention center and spotted this beautiful Chinese pagoda. How pretty is that? Today's Monday, May 26, 2025, and Ryan and I are here in Washington, D.C. We're about to dine at Old Ebbitt Grill, which opened in 1856. So come to see what we eat at this historic restaurant. right, so here's the menu for the Old Ebbitt Grill today. I'm leaning toward the filet, but we'll see what I get. I can't wait to try their food. All right, so we're starting off with the Oysters Rockefeller. And the cheese board. All right, so I did end up getting the filet medium with potatoes pave. Looks delicious, can't wait to dig in. All right, so for the final course, we've got peanut butter pie and a strawberry shortcake. How beautiful is that? Today's Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. Ryan and I are wrapping up our Memorial Day weekend trip with a tour of Ford's Theater. And so come along to see the historic place where Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
just for white soldiers. Lincoln was sympathetic, yet he didn't hesitate to remind Douglas how many people opposed even the idea of African American troops. And he was taking significant political risk. But the president assured Douglas that getting the police would be addressed over time. On the equally sensitive issue of commissioning black officers, Lincoln said he would sign any commission sent to him.
Even though it says reader for Roger right now, I'm going to go do it so it's a little bit.
Okay, understood. Hope you feel good. I'm sure it's on the shoulder.
We do it.
What? But he was compensated, and then the government basically the response.
Like you two. Right.
And then, yeah, but.
So this is the booth inside Ford's Theater where Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Excuse me.